this is Rob, and welcome to R&B Reviews. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the new Star Wars spin-off, Solo, a Star Wars story. Well, this movie has quite a bit that happened behind the scenes. The original directors were the comedy directing team of Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, but executive producer Kathleen Kennedy and screenwriter Lawrence Kasdan felt that the two were straying from the script and supposedly were making the film more into a comedy. So director Ron Howard, who was brought in to finish the film, and supposedly he reshot 70 to 80% of the movie. So for those of you that don't regularly watch the channel, every summer I do a list of movies that I want to see during the summer blockbuster season. And even though I did put this movie on my list, I wasn't really jumping up and down to see the movie. I felt, well, you know, for many people, Harrison Ford is Han Solo, and honestly, I wasn't really interested in the character's backstory. I mean, when I watch the old Star Wars movies, I like seeing, you know, him interact with the characters, and I feel like I don't necessarily need to know how he came to be or how he started. But I do have to say the movie is definitely better than I thought it would be. But to me, the movie is still just an alright entry in the Star Wars saga. Alden Ehrenreich plays the cocky smuggler, and it's set in a time when the Empire was just starting to take over planets and crime syndicates were still ruling these places. He ends up in the middle of a heist alongside another smuggler named Beckett, played by Woody Harrelson, who becomes his mentor, and then they get set on another mission to try and steal hyperfuel for a crime leader played by Paul Bettany. Emila Clarke plays Han's love interest, and Donald Glover plays Lando Calrissian, who Beckett hires as a pilot. Now, for Star Wars fans who complain that Rogue One didn't have any titles like in the regular Star Wars movies, you know how in the beginning they're in yellow font, they're always kind of curving up to the top. This movie kind of does have titles explaining what is going on, and you are given something like to help set up what is going on in this time in the galaxy, although it's more like titles popping up on screen, so you don't get the famous Star Wars things, but you know, it's still pretty good. It did take me a while to get into the story. I'd say the first 20 or 30 minutes, the movie moved very quickly, and I didn't feel like I would connected to the story or the characters at first, and the chases and the action scenes I really didn't feel on the edge with. However, I think as the movie did go on, especially in the last third, I finally felt for the characters, and the last group of action scenes I thought were terrific and suspenseful. I thought performances were good for the most part. Ehrenreich, for the most part, I think delivered in the role of Han Solo, and I think he definitely understood the character's spirit. Sometimes he did lose the way Han Solo speaks. You know, Harrison Ford kind of, you know, had him, you know, speak a certain way, and Ehrenreich did try to do that in several scenes, but there's a few times he kind of loses that. But for the most part, I thought his performance was very well. Woody Harrelson as Solo's mentor and Emila Clarke I thought were all right. Harrelson, I felt like I've seen him better in other movies, and Clarke, I felt like she was definitely at her best when she was with Ehrenreich, because to me, I thought there were good elements with the character that just really didn't come out like I thought they could have. But definitely when the two were together, I definitely saw some good chemistry and good sparks between the two of them. But for me, the best performance came from Donald Glover as Lando. He and Ehrenreich had great moments together, and they were probably not only the most standout performances of the movie for me, their scenes were probably the biggest standout out of the whole movie. There is a new droid, L3, which I really didn't care for. I kind of found her to be obnoxious instead of funny, like the droid in Rogue One. The pacing was a little bit all over the place. The first 20 or 30 minutes were very fast, like I said, but then afterwards it definitely slowed down much more. If I had to guess, I understand some of Lord Miller's scenes are still in the movie. If I had to guess, I would say the beginning are probably the footage that was shot and directed by Lord Miller, because they definitely have a more comical tone, and they use the team's fast-paced style that you see in Lego Movie and in the 21 Jump Street movies they've directed. Ron Howard definitely has a little bit more of a slower paced style to his work. There were a few slow spots, but for the most part, I could definitely tell that maybe the last two-thirds was Ron Howard's work. Those scenes definitely have their sense of humor, don't get me wrong, but they're definitely more dramatic. Solo is not really a bad movie. I mean, for the most part, it is entertaining, but I felt there were some missed opportunities with it, and I think I still like Rogue One a little more. I mean, I probably shouldn't be comparing the two movies because they're both kind of spin-offs, but because Rogue One's more of a drama setting up the trilogy, the original trilogy, and this one's definitely more of a Ron Howard called it like a space western. They're definitely a little bit more in tone, but I think I preferred Rogue One a little bit more. Like I said, Solo, it's an entertaining movie, but with this one, personally, I think you can wait until it becomes available at home for you to watch. I don't think you have to rush to the theaters to see it. Alright, well that's my review of Solo, a Star Wars story. Go ahead and leave your comments. Did you actually like the movie very much that you would recommend it in theaters? Did you hate it? Or do you agree with me? If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and check out the main page and check out some movies you can watch at home or check out on the big screen. And if you're interested, consider being a subscriber. Thanks very much for watching.